So today I'm going to answer the question, is Elon Musk a liar? And you may think that you already know what I'm going to say, but hey, it might be fun to stick around and see how I get to the conclusion. And maybe you'll be wrong. Who knows? Anyway, if you like this is Randy Kirk, by the way. And if you like this kind of content, please like, please subscribe, please join Patreon and comment. I really love the comments. And let's get right into the subject matter at hand. I'm of the opinion that the definition of lie has been messed up over the last 20 years. When I was growing up, I think everybody knew what a lie was. It was an intentional misstatement of facts with the absolute intention of misleading somebody. So I broke something in the living room. My mom came in and said, "Who did it?" And I said, "My brother did it." That's a lie. That actually happened, and I've been sad about it ever since. But I was like 7. Anyway, but that's a lie, okay? And so it requires intentionality in order to fit the definition. I looked it up 15 different ways. Every single dictionary, every single expert, they all say that the basic definition of a lie is the intentional misstatement of facts in order to deceive. You might intentionally overstate the specifications on a product in order to get somebody to make a purchase. You might intentionally overstate your qualifications on your resume in order to get a job. You see, these are lies. These are intentional. You know you're doing it. It's clear to you that it's a lie. You do the lie anyway because you're intending to use it to deceive somebody, usually in order to benefit yourself in some way. Okay, that's a lie. Well, lots of things have been called lie where there was no ability to even suggest that the person knew that it was a misstatement of fact or that they intended to deceive anybody or to change somebody's mind and to their advantage. So this is a real problem in our society. And I think it has to do with this postmodernism where, nothing is true. If you don't have any truth at all, then it's easy to say somebody's lying because it's not your truth. And so I think that's part of where the confusion comes in. And so people hear Elon making statements. They take the statement and they say, well, that's not my understanding of the truth. Therefore, he's lying. But that's not a lie. You have to take into consideration the fact set that's being talked about and even have to take into consideration nuance before you call somebody a liar. It used to be that newspapers and reporters and people that were reporting on activity were very, very careful about calling somebody a liar. But now it seems like you can call somebody a liar because they just say an opinion that doesn't suit your opinion. This is not good. This is a transformation of our understanding of a word. And while that's always happening in society, if you're going to have a transformation, then during that transformation, you're going to have a lot of confusion, and it can create conflict, like some of the conflict we see between the right and the left, because there's two different understandings of what the facts are. An example, of course, it's called stadium theory, is you see a play from the stadium and you see somebody and you think that they stepped out of bounds in a football game. They stepped out of bounds as they were running. Everybody that is wearing a red jersey in the stands thinks it was out of bounds. Everybody that was wearing a gray jersey thinks that the guy didn't go out of bounds based on which team they're for. And they're in their brain. Now they're 100 yards away. Their visibility is not that great. Maybe somebody's standing in the way. So they're coming to a conclusion of the fact set. And if they say, "I can't believe the ref, what did he do?" Well, that might be a lie. Okay, I can't believe the ref could be a lie because maybe they're really not certain. But it's not a lie if they're uncertain and they say, "I think he was in." Anyway, let's leave it at that and let's go on to whether Elon Musk is a liar. So on Friday, Elon Musk got his reputation cleaned up a lot. I've talked about this in a video yesterday, so this may be a repeat for you. But on Friday, a jury of his peers decided he did not lie about funding secured with regard to the tweet that he did in the potential for taking Tesla private several years ago. The jury said, no, we don't find that this, we find that he's not liable, that in general, this is, the case is we're finding in favor of Elon Musk and Tesla. Well, that would be good enough, although the press tended to really emphasize the fact that they just found him not guilty, which is not true. It was not a guilty or not guilty case. It was a case of whether he was liable or not liable, and they found him not liable. But what was great is that anybody that cared to really listen and pay attention and listened and read the testimony, one person after another came up and said, Elon believed that he had the funding. Elon did have the funding. It was clear that he had the funding, and therefore he could not have intentionally misstated the fact when he said the funding was secure, because the facts were that in fact funding was lined up. So that has got to help his reputation. But in general, that has been used for years as one of the evidences that Elon is a liar. Well, for people that care and are not just looking to knock him down, that's cleared up. The jury has decided, and the evidence was presented for anybody that cared to watch and listen to and see what that was all about. Okay, the next thing I did was I put in the Google search, is Elon a liar? The funny thing is that I couldn't come up with other people saying that Elon was a liar. I couldn't find articles saying that he was a liar. I couldn't find other evidences or suggestions of what he has lied about. Now, some people would say he's lying about FSD, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Is that a lie, or is that what's called a reality distortion field? And I think it's funny to talk about, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But I went down and I'm like, what did he lie about? And I think we get back into this political thing of my facts versus your facts. There was none stories. I found one story that said all the bad things he's done. And I went through the list. It was 20 bad things, calling that guy a pedo years ago. You remember all these, I mean, all the negative things, you know, whether some of his employees have been discriminated against, or whether there's been, intentional work on his part to keep unions from coming into Fremont, or whether or not he should have reopened the plant when he did. They had this huge list of the bad things that Elon's done. I could have gone through every one of those and dismissed them easily as this doesn't prove that Elon's a bad guy or a liar, either one. So none of them, not one on the list was actually even suggesting that he had lied about any of these things. So I don't know. I couldn't find anything on that score except people saying he's a liar without any evidence. So that was interesting. So then it comes down to things like FSD. I think most of the fudsters and most of the naysayers about Tesla, the Tesla Q, which we hardly even hear the name of Tesla Q anymore. Most of the people that fit into those two columns who have called Elon a liar have almost always been talking about what I'm going to talk about next, the reality distortion field. So that some people say that he has a reality distortion field, and that as a result of this, he believes that something either is going to take place, is likely to take place, has a more than zero chance of taking place, and has a chance of taking place in a time frame which most people would look at and go, that's crazy. Okay. He does it all the time. We're going to announce that we're going to make HVACs next year. Well, 2022 came and went. He didn't make that announcement. We're going to announce 2 new gigafactories next year. Well, 2022 came and went, and he didn't announce 2 gigafactories. Are those lies? Those are not lies. He did not intentionally mislead anybody in order to generate or mislead on the facts in order to get people to make some decision that they weren't otherwise going to make. What he did was he said, basically what he's saying when he says that is, I am working on 2 new gigafactories and we're going to announce those next year. Unfortunately, it didn't happen because things got in the way. We believe that we're going to finally be able to announce that HVAC is going to be a thing, but something happened. Mechanical, whether it was fiscal, whether it was time, who knows what, some reason caused them to not be able to do HVAC in 2022. Those are not lies. Some people, again, this is now called, there's a specific articles about the reality distortion field that entrepreneurs commonly operate in. Steve Jobs was said to operate in this reality distortion field. I've seen myself operating in that reality distortion field. So it's not unusual for entrepreneurs to think this way. I'm not even sure that you could say that it's something that is done to motivate, because I'm not sure that the entrepreneur thinks of it that way. I watch Elon a lot, as you know, written a couple of books about him, and I watch him carefully. And as a fellow entrepreneur, feel like I understand him better than people who are not entrepreneurs. And I don't think personally that I sit there and go, I'm going to give people a ridiculous expectation of when this new product is going to be finished in order to get them to work harder than they would otherwise, or in order to please the boss. I don't think that goes through my mind. I tried to look inside and see, does that go in my mind? I don't think it goes in his mind either. I think he looks at it. He says, I think we can get this done by here. He's said it so many times. He said, this is aspirational. Sometimes he'll say that, and maybe it'll take longer. Some days he doesn't say that, but I think all of them are aspirational, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know when the price of some raw material will go up or down. You never know when there could be a material problem that you can't get the material. You never know when a government is going to put in a regulation, or you find the regulation that interferes with doing something the way you want to do it. You never know when you're going to have such a need for your employee brain power to solve this problem that you don't have any time to have those people come over and solve some other problem that will generate the results that you thought might be possible. So I don't even think that this is motivated by a desire to get people to work harder, but it does. It gets people motivated to work harder. It gets people motivated to see the vision and want to be a part of the vision, to be part of the action and the energy. All those things are true. And maybe I'm not the guy to even be able to say whether I honestly think that way when I'm aspirationally looking at something happening sooner than it's going to happen. So that is FSD in spades. I have listened to him talk over and over again about FSD and the entire process. It is the hardest, he believes, is the hardest things that humans have ever tried to do. Harder than landing rockets on their butt, harder than getting rockets to go take humans to Mars. He believes that full self-driving is the hardest thing that we've ever tried to do. So if it's that hard, and as you're ramping up and you're trying to get it to work and you run into issues, it's going to slow down your aspirational expectations. Well, that's happened over and over and over again in this case. And yes, it's discouraging at a certain point. I've seen people in my organizations become discouraged because we haven't met some of the goals that I might have set. So it's not surprising, but it's not a lie. It is a reality distortion field. And I think it's funny to call it that. And again, other people who have reported on the reality distortion field say it is very common among high-powered, not calling myself high-powered, but among entrepreneurial types, and especially these high-powered types. So that is my story. I do not think, in fact, I think based on reading recently The Founders, which I'm hoping still to interview the writer, Jimmy Sani, who wrote that. He and I have been missing each other, but The Founders was a very, very clear exposition on the whole PayPal thing. And I believe that I can say from even that, and maybe Jimmy will be able to shed more light on this, that the people that Elon has worked with in those high-level situations, they believe that he is a truth teller, that he has huge integrity. He may not agree with them, and he may think something is going to work better than they do, and that can cause conflict. But I believe that they would all say that he has high integrity. So having said all of that, that is my story. That is the answer to the question. And the most shocking out of all of it was to find out I couldn't find anything in search that was calling Elon a liar with specific statements. So if this has been fun or interesting or useful, would help you in terms of your future thinking about Elon or about Tesla, please like, subscribe, join Patreon, and help us think through what's going to happen in the future, where I'm sure that I will set goals that the world cannot make. This has been Randy Kirk. Been great talking to you.